Welcome to XboxCorner, my name's Luke, and we're back once again to bring you the latest batch of Game Pass titles for the last week in August. Now, while these new editions offer a decent selection of new titles to play, we're sadly losing an awesome batch of games at the end of the month, so I suggest giving our latest leaving Game Pass video a watch, as you will have a few days left to polish those ones off before they leave the service on the 31st. With that said though, drop us a like if this one helps you out, subscribe for deals, reviews, graphical comparisons and Game Pass content near weekly, and let's get into it. So first up in our roundup we have Coffee Talk, and I think this is going to be more one for those people who like chill games and graphic novels, as it's advertised as a talking simulator. Not a genre that I'm familiar with, but basically you work in a coffee shop and are responsible for brewing people up a tasty cup of joe. Like the historic tavern keepers before you though, you get to listen to the woes and worries of each of your customers. But instead of dropping them a spot of advice and serving them a stiff one, from what I can gather you'll be selecting the ingredients for the coffee they order, which when brewed will act as a possible solution to their issue. And the dialogue options and the beverages you serve both have an impact on the story direction. It's an interesting concept to be sure, and one whose storyline will no doubt warm the heart as much as the drink it's named after. So Hideo Kojima's 2019 sleeper hit Death Stranding is our next title, but unfortunately this one's exclusive to PC Game Pass only, so all you console players are going to have to wait a little longer to play this one, that is if it ever comes to Xbox. Starring Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen and several other big time actors, by all accounts this one's a very unusual one and could be considered a walking simulator of sorts, as you do a lot of it, but the game has you playing as delivery man Sam Bridges, and responsible for traipsing back and forth across a barren wasteland laden with oversized packages for its isolated inhabitants. Being a Kojima game though, you can expect plenty of weirdness. There's something to do with a baby in a float tank, invisible otherworldly creatures known as beach things, and of course big baddie Mads Mikkelsen to deal with. And alongside the drop-offs you'll be connecting up locations to expand the map and crafting items and structures to improve your transportation skills. A bit of a wishy-washy description I know, but I really suggest watching a review or two to get a real understanding of what's going on in this one. Midnight Fight Express is our next game, and this is a day one release for both consoles and PCs, which is all about the fisticuffs. And to quote the Steam description, the first rule of Midnight Fight Express is, you do talk about Midnight Fight Express, so yeah, it's Fight Club without all the secrecy. The storyline in this one though involves you the player taking on the role of babyface and fighting your way across the city in order to prevent a citywide takeover by the criminal underworld that you once belonged to. And as expected, it's all about the combat in this one, with gameplay taking influence from classic brawlers of the past, while throwing in some modern day touches to spice things up. So think levelling systems, skill trees and plenty of weaponry, which all comes together to give you the ability to develop your very own unique combat style to kick the shit out of people with. It sounds awesome though, and definitely one to check out. So Exapunks is another PC Game Pass only title, and this is a bit of an unusual one which comes to us from the developer of Shenzhen.io, and is another puzzle game which I really don't quite know what to make of. From what I can gather though, you play as some kind of ex-hacker who has taken on a bit of a dodgy job, which could potentially cost you your life. And so far as I can tell, gameplay sees you using X's or execution agents to infiltrate networks, programming them to self-replicate, terminate defending X's and destroy valuable data. It appears to be a real brain trainer though, and definitely one for those with an interest in programming and coding, so if that's you, why not give this one a go? Our next title, Opus Echo of Starsong, is a sci-fi themed visual novel style adventure game whose storyline revolves around Ida, a girl who hears mysterious sound waves known as Starsong and then decides to team up with a young man and embark on a cross-solar system mission to discover their origin. From what I can tell, you're going to be travelling between different locations and speaking with different characters, each with their own backstories, and exploring ancient futuristic ruins. And it is of course a heavily narrative driven title with plenty of text to read, but this full bloom edition features all new voice acting, so even if you're not usually into visual novels, you might want to check this one out as it's received a lot of very positive reviews on Steam. Going by the genre though, it's no doubt going to be a slow burner, but if you're looking for a deep and engaging storyline to settle into for a few hours, this will no doubt be the game for you. Next up then we have Commandos 3, a full HD remaster of the original iconic real-time tactics game, which is set to release day one for both consoles and PCs on the 30th of August. Now I played the previous remaster of Commandos 2 on the Nintendo Switch, but wasn't particularly impressed by the new console control scheme, and presumably they've used it again with this release. But the Commandos games themselves have always held a place in my heart, and if you've never played them, they essentially see you taking control of a crack team of commandos whose individual members specialise in performing different roles, be that stealthily sneaking up and taking down enemies, planting and disarming explosives, or disguising themselves as enemy soldiers. And it's your job to utilise these abilities to complete missions, take down key targets, steal vital intelligence, and basically thwarting the German advance across Europe. Despite my own reservations about the controls though, I highly recommend giving this one a go and forming your own opinion, as while it's not considered to be the best game in the series, in my opinion it's still well worth a play. Into the last few then we have Immortality, a new interactive FMV game from Sam Barlow, the creator of Telling Lies and Her Story, and similarly to these games it involves a spot of investigative work from the player. The story with this one though concerns the mysterious disappearance of film star Marissa Marcel, who made 3 movies, none of which were ever released, but it seems that these movies hold the clues as to what happened to Marissa, and it's your job to find them and ultimately solve the mystery. Now personally I've always been a fan of these FMV games, I've enjoyed quite a few of Wales Interactive ones, and while they're not everyone's cup of tea, they generally offer a pretty relaxing gameplay experience whilst also providing the entertainment of a movie or TV show, so if you've never played one, this may be the perfect opportunity to dip your toes into the genre. So our next title, Immortals Fenyx Rising, is an action-adventure game inspired by the gods and monsters of Greek mythology, and it follows the journey of Fenyx and his quest to take down Typhon, a bit of a baddie god who's robbed all of our favourites of the powers, including Zeus, Achilles and Odysseus, and basically corrupted them, bending them to his will. So now it falls to Fenyx, a mortal, to basically defeat him and restore order to Olympus. Coming from Ubisoft and the developers behind Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we of course get a massive open world to explore with plenty of secrets to find, puzzles to solve and optional boss battles to partake in, and the game has actually been compared to Zelda Breath of the Wild, though instead of that game's annoying breakable weapons you'll be wielding the powers of the gods, exotic looking upgradable swords, bows and axes, and a ton of unique perks, and though I haven't actually played it myself, all round it seems like a pretty good time to me. Rounding off today's list then we have Tinykin, a game which has obviously taken influence from Nintendo's Pikmin, and it basically has you controlling hordes of cutesy creatures and exploring a giant house as a dude called Milo who's been shrunk down to the size of an ant and now needs to find a way back home. This one though is another day one for Game Pass, and it definitely comes across as more a casual title with a cutesy aesthetic and whimsical world to explore, and from what I can tell you can expect plenty of platforming and puzzle solving as you hunt down your missing ship parts and assist various bug civilizations with the problems. It's a relatively simple concept for a game and should be pretty easy to just pick up and play, and from what I hear it has around a 4-hour runtime, so if you're looking for a bit of a break and are a fan of the Pikmin games, then you might consider giving this one a go. And so that about wraps things up for another month of Game Pass. So what did you think about this month's lineup as a whole? Have you been playing anything in particular, and will you be partaking in any of our new additions? Let us know down in the comments section below. As I said, we're losing some pretty big titles, so be sure to check out that Leaving Game Pass video linked down below, and as always, drop us a like if this video helped you out, subscribe for more Game Pass content, deals, reviews and graphical comparisons, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks everyone, take care.